Marcus had always lived a quiet, unremarkable life. He worked a 9 to 5 at a small office downtown, lived alone in a modest apartment, and spent most of his evenings reading or watching TV. Nothing out of the ordinary ever happened to him until a day his shadow began acting strange. It started small one evening while brushing his teeth. Marcus noticed that his shadow on the bathroom wall seemed to lag behind his movements, just for a split second. He shrugged it off as fatigue or the dim lighting, but as days passed, the small delay grew more noticeable, and then something even stranger happened. His shadow began to move when he stood still. Marcus tried to ignore it at first, hoping it was just his imagination playing tricks. But one morning while he was getting dressed for work, he saw his shadow reach out for something on the floor. Except Marcus hadn't moved. His hand was at his side, but the shadow's arm was extended, fingers curling around an invisible object. He froze, staring at the dark outline on the wall. The shadow retracted his arm, folding back into place as if nothing happened. From that day forward, Marcus couldn't escape the sense that he was being followed. Even when he was alone at work, his shadow seemed to stretch and twitch unnaturally in the office lighting. At home, he could see it flickering out of the corner of his eye, like it was restless. Sometimes late at night, he would wake up to the feeling of something cold brushing against his skin, only to find the darkness in his room deeper and more oppressive than it should be. One night, after weeks of sleepless anxiety, Marcus had enough. He stood in his living room, staring at the floor where his shadow pooled beneath him. "What do you want?" he whispered. His voice trembled as if it echoed in the silence of the room. The shadow didn't respond, but Marcus could feel something shift. It grew darker, deeper, like an abyss at his feet, and then it moved slowly. It peeled itself away from him, detaching from the outline of his body, and stood up. Marcus stumbled back, his heart pounding in his chest as he watched his shadow take shape, solidifying into a human figure. His figure. It was him, down to the last detail but his eyes. His eyes were hollow pits of blackness staring at him with a hunger he couldn't describe. "I am you," it said, his voice low but guttural, like the echo of a scream that never left the throat, the part you've tried to bury. Marcus felt a chill run through his body. He tried to speak, but no words came out. The shadow took a step forward. "All your fears," it whispered, "your doubts, your regrets. I am everything you've ever hidden from the world, and now I want to have what you have." Marcus' breath caught in his throat. He backed away, his feet stumbling over the rug as he tried to escape the thing that wore his face. But it was no use. The shadow moved closer, his dark presence filling the room, suffocating him. "You can't outrun me, Marcus," it hissed. "I'm always with you." In a desperation, Marcus ran to the light switch, flickering on, flooding the room with brightness. For a moment, the shadow flickered, its form wavering, but then it laughed. A deep, hollow sound that made Marcus' skin crawl. "Light won't save you," it said. "You can't get rid of me that easy. Marcus, the light won't save you." Marcus sat in the light, breathing heavy until he received a notification on his phone. Hurricane Milton was approaching, and at that moment he knew the light will only last. The light will only last for so long.